Hello everyone, I'm Amanda and I'd like to welcome you to our Family Time Autumn 2020 video. I trust you and your families have been well over the last few months. We have really missed meeting up with you at Family Time, so we really hope you enjoy this video.
Oh, hello. Hi. Hey, you haven't seen a sheep, have you? A small one. Yeah, about as big as you. No? Not anywhere. Oh, that sheep, it is always doing this. It's always running off. I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Ah, I'll tell you what. I am tired of looking for that sheep, and I expect it'll wander back. But do you know what I'm going to do? While I get my breath back, I am going to tell you a story about a man who had not just one sheep like me, he had 100 sheep. He did. He had 100 sheep. And every day he used to take them out from their sheep pen and he used to take them up the mountain to eat grass on the high pasture. And while he was walking up the hill, he used to sing a song. And it was a counting song. He used to check that every single one of his sheep was actually there. And his song went like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on, all the way up to 100. But one day, as he was going up the pasture towards the top of the mountain, his song went like this. 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. That's right. He could only get to 99. One of the sheep was missing. Well, he was really worried about that little one that was missing. So do you know what he did? He scampered off and he ran all over the mountainside, calling and calling. Little one, little one, little one, little one, until his cries echoed round the mountain and the evening started to draw in. And just at that moment, when he thought everything was lost and he was going to have to come off the mountain with just the 99 sheep that he had left, he heard in the corner a tiny little bleating noise. Can I hear it? Can I hear a little bleating noise? Can you help me? Do you think you could help me? Could you do some bleating for me? Really, really quietly to start with, to help me tell this story. Ready? Meh. Really quiet. Meh. 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 Can you do that? And then get it louder and louder as he gets closer and closer. eventually spotted the sheep. He'd fallen down a tiny hole in the mountainside, a little sort of dip, and he was too small and weedy to get out of it. So the shepherd climbed into the depression and pulled out the sheep. And was that sheep pleased? You can bet it was. And was the shepherd pleased? You can bet he was. And so in real triumph, he carried that sheep all the way back to where the other 99 were. And he started his counting song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and he carried on. And this time he got all the way up to 99, and then 100. He had all his sheep, and he was so happy that when he came home at the end of the evening, he called up all his mates and they had a party together, and he was really, really happy. Oh, thank you for helping me tell that story. Now I better go and look for that little sheep that's still missing before it gets too late. You better go and have a look too. See if you find it, let me know. Bye.
Didn't Dave tell that story well? I really enjoyed that. One of the stories of Jesus reminding us that God is like a shepherd who wants to look after us and keep us safe. And hundreds of years before Jesus lived, there was another David that we read about in the Bible. And this David was a shepherd when he was a young boy. And he knew all about looking after sheep and protecting them, making sure they had enough food to eat and enough water to drink, and also protecting them from wild animals who came to attack them. And this is the same David who went on to kill the giant Goliath with his sling and a pebble, and he'd learnt to use a sling when he was warding off the wild animals that came to attack the sheep. So he really knew all about protecting sheep and looking after them. And later on, when he grew up, David became a king, a very famous king of Israel, and some said the best king that Israel ever had. And when he grew up, he wrote lots of songs and poems, which we have in the Bible now, and we call them the Psalms, and there are 150 of them, and David wrote a lot of them. And one of David's most famous psalms is Psalm 23, and it's called "The Lord is My Shepherd." And in it, David, just like Jesus all those years later, David imagines that God is like a shepherd and we are like the sheep, and God is looking after us. The Lord is my shepherd. And after we've read the psalm together, we're going to make a little story box to remind ourselves all about Psalm 23 and how God wants to look after us. So I thought we could read through Psalm 23 first. You should find it in your pack. It's on a little piece of paper. So find that. Let's read it together, and then we'll make our story box. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He lets me rest in fields of green grass and leads me to quiet pools of fresh water. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right paths as he has promised. Even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid, Lord, for you are with me. Your shepherd's rod and staff protect me. So that's the psalm. So you've got a little box inside your pack, and if you open it out, you should find inside a little sheep. In fact, you should find 2 sheep, because I thought you could choose which one you like the best. They both got googly eyes on them, and you've also got some stuffing, some kapok we call it. So you've just got to stick that on in any way you can and make your sheep as woolly as possible. And there he is, your little sheep, all ready. And then you need to take your box, and in it you need to stick the piece of green foam inside your box. Because, as the psalm tells us, the shepherd lets the sheep rest in fields of green pasture, making sure that he's got plenty to eat. So you can put your sheep in your green pasture, make sure he has plenty to eat. And there he is. Then you take the outside of the box, And first of all, on one side, you're going to stick the piece of blue foam, because the psalm reminds us that the shepherd leads the sheep to quiet pools of fresh water so that he has plenty to drink. There's our sheep. Give it plenty to drink. Oh, it's pools of fresh water. And then on the other side of your box, you're going to stick your piece of black foam. Just peel off the back and stick it on. Because later on the psalm says, even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid, Lord, for you will be with me. And sometimes the sheep had to be taken through very deep, dark valleys perhaps, or they were in danger from other animals that we talked about. And so David knows that the shepherd is going to protect that sheep and look after it, even in difficult times. And we're going through some difficult times at the moment. Many of you now are back at school, but it's not quite the same, is it? You can't go out and play together as you used to, and you can't perhaps walk with your friends on the way to and from school. And for the adults too, they don't really know what's going to happen in the next few weeks. There's lots of uncertainties about jobs, about money, about all sorts of things. And it's a very dark time. But the psalm reminds us that God will be with us even in those dark times. And at the end of the verses we read, your shepherd's rod and staff protect me. So you've got a nice sturdy twig for a staff. Sometimes the shepherd needed that to lean on to walk along. And sometimes he just needed to give the sheep a little prod. And that was how he protected them, because he could say to the sheep, come on, you're lagging behind. You're getting separated from the flock. That's not a good idea. You need to keep up. But remember, I'm with you. You can do this. Let's keep going together. And so the staff was there to just give that sheep a little bit of encouragement if it got left behind. And then the shepherd's rod, we start off with a piece of straight pipe cleaner. Couldn't think of what it was called. You need to cut off your piece so that it's just about the right size to fit in your box. Curl it over, and I've just tweaked out the end to make a nice crook. And the shepherd used this, of course, to sometimes rescue the sheep. He could hook it round one of their legs or even around the neck of a lamb and gently put it out of a briar or a thorn bush that they got into, or maybe one of those holes that David told us about. So we've got the shepherd's rod and the staff to protect the sheep. And there you are. You've got your story box. You've got your sheep in his green pastures. You can put him back inside the green pastures. You can probably get the staff and the rod inside as well. And you can put on the lid and keep your story box all together. I'm not sure you'll fit your psalm inside. You might do if you fold it up. You might just have to keep it somewhere safely near the box. And so whenever perhaps things are getting a bit tough, you can take out Psalm 23, take out your little sheep and put him in all the various places, in the green pastures, by the still waters, even in the deep valley. And remind yourself of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. Have fun making your boxes, and do send us lots of photos of them. You can send them by email of how you've got on with your crafts, both this one and the one that Anna's done for us.
I hope you enjoyed that story. I wonder if you've ever lost anything, like maybe a favourite teddy or a favourite toy of some other kind. And if you have, you'll know what that sometimes feels like. It feels like the toy that you have lost is the one thing that you want more than anything else. And you might have other toys, you might have other teddies, you might have 2 or 3 other teddies. But the one that's missing is the one that really matters. And Jesus told this story, the story about the shepherd and the lost sheep, to say something about God and to say that God is a bit like us. Because when he's lost not a thing, not a toy, but when he's lost one of us, so when one of us doesn't know about him or has heard about him but doesn't think that he really matters or is important to them, then he really, really, really longs for that person to come and be with him. And so that's what the story tells. The shepherd is like God. And when the sheep goes missing, that shepherd, God, will go and do anything to see if he can find that sheep, to find that person who is missing, who has gone away, who doesn't care about God. And in fact, the Bible tells us that God cared so much about the missing people that he came to earth himself as Jesus Christ. And he was even prepared to die to rescue us. That's how much God feels the loss of us when we don't pay attention to him. And that's a really good thing to think about.
Hello everybody. There's a bit in the Bible where Jesus knows that he is shortly going to be arrested and taken away and killed. We know he knows that he will rise again. But at that point, he's with his disciples in what's called the upper room. He's just had a meal with them, his last supper with them. And he prays. And we get a little glimpse into what it's like listening to Jesus talking to his daddy. And he's praying about himself. He's praying about God being glorified. And at one point, if you want to look it up, it's in John 17. At one point he says, Father, protect them by the power of your name, the name you gave me, so that they may be one, just as we are one. And he's praying for his disciples, for his followers, for the people sitting around the table with him then that he knew he was going to be leaving behind. And I think also praying for people all the way through the ages who will believe in him, even us now. I was thinking about the reading that we have, about Jesus praying to his Father in John 17. And that bit where he prays for his disciples. And I thought it would be great if we could make a reminder to ourselves to pray for people, to pray for others in our God-given family. You don't have to be a child for this. You can be a child, you can be an adult, you can be of any age. But I just thought it would be great to do maybe a small craft to help us to pray for people, just as Jesus prayed before he was going to leave his disciples. So what we're going to do, you're going to need, if you'd like to join in, lots of different coloured paper. It doesn't have to be very posh. I've just gone around and looked at what I've got. You could also use anything like backs of old Christmas cards or anything which is fairly colourful, but has a plain side on it. Maybe a bit of white paper as well, a white card as well. Some pens, some sort of string, or I found some ribbon. And then I've got a stapler or glue dots, some way of attaching little bits of card to the string. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out, I thought hearts, it could be any shape really, but we're going to cut out lots of hearts of different sizes from different colours of paper. You know how to do it? You just make a fold and then you take some scissors and you cut a heart shape. If it looks a bit pointy, you can trim it, of course. I'm not going to bother drawing it in advance, but you might want to if you're very worried about the shape of your hearts. And I'm going to make them different sizes, probably getting progressively smaller. But again, you don't have to. You can do them however you want. You can do them all the same size. They don't all have to be hearts. They can be raindrops. They can be squares, whatever you think you'd like. And I'm going to make probably about 5 of each colour, but again, it's entirely up to you. So there we are. Now, because I knew you were going to be wanting to get on with other things, I'm not going to make you watch me cut out all the hearts, and I've got a few that I made here earlier. And what we're going to do is take some hearts, take our pen, and just write on them the names of people that you'd like to pray for. Can be people who are Jesus' disciples, to pray that God would protect them by the power of his name. So I will think of, there we are, my sister. I will think of my husband. Might also think of people that I've never heard of. I don't actually know, but I know, for instance, the church in North Korea. Church in North Korea. It might be people who I hope will come to know God sometime. There we go. Friends, and so on. And carry on just until you've got all the different people or maybe different situations that you want to pray for and written down on your pieces of card. And then let's make something which we can hang them from. I think I'll just make a cloud shape. You could make anything. If you're not tired of rainbows, you could make a rainbow. You might be tired of rainbows by now. I'm going to make a sort of cloud shape. I might have made a few too many hearts here. I don't know. You can never pray for too many people. But my cloud might be overloaded. We'll see. And then, again, you can decorate the card if you want. But then what we're going to do is take... There you go. I've never used glue dots before. You should always practice these things beforehand, shouldn't you? I'm going to use a stapler today. I'm going to take a bit of ribbon. And just staple it. Cut it to a good length. And staple my card onto it, my little cards with the hearts with the names on it. There we are. There's one. I think I might have overdone the number of hearts. I'm going to have 3 on each string. And I'm going to have them getting progressively smaller as I go down. 3 or maybe 4. You'll see how it's going to be. I'm going to carry on doing that. I'm going to show you a picture of what it looks like at the end. And so here is the finished product. You'll see I've written, protect them by the power of your name, which is what Jesus prayed to God, his Father, when he was praying about his disciples. And I've just done people, situations, friends that I know, family, all the people that I want to pray for, and all the things I would like to pray for, just as a reminder. And I might hang it up, maybe in my window, maybe somewhere where I'll look fairly often, just to remind me. If you choose to do that, it would be lovely if you wanted to send in a picture of what you've done. And we can put it on the website and see all the different things that people come up with. That's up to you. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you to David and his sheepy helpers, and thank you to Maureen and to Anna for their crafts and prayers. We have really enjoyed making our first ever family time video, and I hope you have enjoyed watching it and doing all the crafts. We look forward to seeing you next time, maybe online or maybe even in person. So, with love and best wishes from all of us at the Christ Church Family Time team, we say goodbye and see you next time.